in 5.
Welcome, students, to Monk Meditation, the show about monks in the world of Warcraft.
6.0 is imminent, two-handers are closing the gap, resolve isn't diminished, and we're joined by a very special robot coming up on Monk Meditation episode 32.
Here's your host, Chai T.
Welcome back to the show all about monks. Tonight I'm joined by our regular crew, minus Air, who's preparing for yet another trip. I really wish I had that guy's vacation days accrued for myself. LeBlue, fresh from his starstruck visit to the Monkcraft podcast. How are you, sir?
Doing all right. Just been hanging out playing a lot of Diablo of late, and recovering. Thankfully, I am almost fully recovered from my starstruckness. Got to do a podcast with Golvin and Rignaros on Monkcraft. It was really awesome. Had a great time, and I'm gonna hopefully do one in the future as well.
That would be awesome. Guanshu, who just launched a pilot episode of yet another new podcast. Do you have even time to sit down and relax? What's going on, man?
Not much, but as last week, I have a confession this week as well. I think this is my new thing.
Okay, all right.
So, I've definitely asked Mr. Robot. I've listened to him, but then not did what he said and failed many a times. I just want to put that out there, so people should listen to Mr. Robot, not just ask. I also want to say that I didn't forget about Nayuki. Nayuki's not here this week either.
Yep.
No.
Yep. All right, and Daikatsu, who I'm pretty sure is playing Destiny right now.
What?
Duke.
Oh, sorry. I'll put this down.
Showtime. How's it going, man?
Oh, right. Sorry. Going well. I'm excited for our guest. Very excited for the guest. I've been a fan for a very long time.
And finally, we are joined by a special guest from Ask Mr. Robot, Zupercat. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
How are you doing?
That's all I got.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, let's check in.
That's all I've got.
It's optimized.
It's like the middle of the afternoon. It's like nap time.
All
Nap time
right.
now.
Well, why don't we go ahead and
I'm on
check in
Pacific
with
time zone.
tonight's host on how WoW is now in
Storm, Earth,
And fire!
All right, Guanshu, how is WoW going for you, sir?
Very little WoW over the past 2 weeks. Just a little bit of time on the PTR playing, having a little bit of fun. Tonight's a big night for my WoW because at 9:30, which I'm going to assume I'm going to be a little late for, we actually have a guild meeting for my guild I'm in that's not CTR to try to figure out what's going on in Warlords. So this is kind of where it's going to set the tone for what I need to do to get myself into a raid. So it's exciting, and it's great that we're actually getting ready to talk about it. That means it's just like imminent for everything.
Coming.
So.
It's coming, man. I'm excited.
Yeah. So it's where I say, you know what? I need to tank, and you know.
All right, Grumpy Cat LeBlue, how are things going with you?
Good. I am going to finish the Test of Valor this week on my Paladin and hopefully get some time on it in the main raid this week to get some gear for leveling, because that's really important right now. Getting ready for Mythic Siege when that drops. Yay! Figuring out what to do with 17 extra people. And we're making getting a lot of footage from the beta for posting on our site and getting our groups ready for dungeon leveling for when WoD hits. Lots of stuff going on.
All right. Sounds like you're spending some time in WoW. That's good. Speaking of not spending much time in WoW, Duke?
We've been carrying people to Garage.
Yes, we have.
How many? I think we've gotten about 5 or 6 people in the last couple of weeks there ahead of the curve, including Polyhymnia, my wife.
Yep.
So that's basically what we've been doing. And Chai will talk about the other thing we tried doing that didn't go so.
Okay. So yeah, I got my second cloak on my druid. So I'm really happy with that. So that's the second and last one. I will not be trying anymore. I did start leveling my scumbag rogue again to try to get Herald of the Titans. So far, I've gotten it from 74 to most of the way through 74. So
Oh yeah, we have been doing those too, haven't we? 'Cause
Yeah.
Duke was with us to get gear for one of them, and this week is like the last week I'm running it, so we'll try. If you finish, we'll try to get you in, but I need to convince my slacker guildies that hey, we have people who still need it. So
right,
Yes.
yeah.
My AD is waiting.
I know. I know.
So I'm also getting the itch to rebuild my UI, especially when 6.0 comes around. Since I'm switching to Mistweaver, I want a brand new, fresh UI. So I decided to try out this real UI that Geth helped put together. And so I dropped it in, and like everything was gone. I was like, okay, well this should be nice and clean. And it's like, well, okay, keybinds are found on the server, and the bars are found on the server, so everything should work fine, right? So I'll just hop into Corundire Brew and see how that goes. So I get in there, and my 1 is set to Legacy of the Emperor, and 2 is set to Leatherworking. So yeah, I'm sitting there like punch, auto-attacking, and I'm watching my tank's health just go down and down and down.
It's like, what? I'm making a belt.
And and like the tank dies. It's a wipe. That's the first time I've ever wiped in Corundire Brew, and I'm just like, wow. Most of the time you just punch through it. Like I usually run on my shaman. I set heal and I go DPS, and we get it down fine. But okay, whatever. So that was fun. I took off the UI for now, and Duke was so kind as to show me a link how to set up a sandbox to mess around with the UI without messing around with your real UI. So I'm going to be playing around with that.
Do that.
Yep. So as Brewfast draws to a close, I finally got the RAM yesterday, so I don't have to do Brewfest anymore. Thank goodness. So
I really remembered it was even this year. So I didn't do anything with it.
and luckily, I don't have to do anything
got the
Halloween.
I got the Kodo back in Wrath. I haven't bothered since because, RAM.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had the RAM and the Kodo for a while, and I got the Brewmaster title as soon as Miss hit, because I'm like, I am going to wear that title forever.
I don't even Brewmaster and I wear that title. I mean, it's just kind of what you got to do. And so I want to talk about challenge modes for just a little bit. So I have a bit of a song I want to sing about it, actually. So we fought CMs and CMs won. There we go. Yeah, got our butts kicked a little bit.
Never doing that again.
No, that was horrible. So we did what, Storm Stout Brewery, and it was me, Naoyuki, and Duke all going in there with a couple of other people, and that was just
And we were just trying for silver. Like, we weren't trying for anything hard.
right. It was pretty bad. We got to the final boss with like 5 minutes left, and we get him down to like 20%, and all of a sudden it was just like beams everywhere, and healed him back up to full, and we're like, oh god. I'm like, I'm done. I don't need 4 more mounts. I'm good.
I believe the last things he said over Vent was, to Destiny!
Yes, to Destiny we go! Alright. Well, Zupercat, how is WoW going for you?
I'm mostly logging into the PTR and the beta, and it's not for fun things. It's for things like, okay, so hit and expertise are going to be gone. What happens to my hit and expertise gems? And confirming, what stats they turn into and all that sort of stuff. And then testing add-ons and stuff. So it hasn't been the fun stuff. It's been, kind of like the grind to make sure our site works.
Right.
Yeah. That's all right.
you
Warlords
guys
is
got a
coming,
hard
and
deadline
then
coming
I will
up.
have time to play.
Yeah. Yeah, very hard deadline coming up here soon.
We do. Well, and we don't even know the real deadline.
We're pretty darn sure.
Yeah,
but
we don't know
let's-
if it's like next Tuesday, which is my guess.
I'm like 90%
Yeah,
sure
I mean, if they waited one more week, me too. Because if they waited another
let's
week,
just say
that
a
would be
little
way too
bird
close
over-
to
A little
BlizzCon.
bird called Twitter said something they didn't mean to say and hinted that it was 8 days away.
Yep.
Is it the same
Oh,
bird who said
really?
something the last time?
No,
Okay,
it's a
No.
different
good.
bird. Different bird this
Totally
time.
different bird.
I mean,
All right,
we are
well,
now seasons in, so whatever.
Let's go ahead and get caught up in the crazy whirlwind of WoW news in.
Dizzying haze.
So the 6.02 preloader started about a couple weeks ago, I think the night after our show, because thanks, Blizz. And the PvP season was announced as ending anytime after October 14th, and that usually indicates that the patch is going to hit that same day. So we are assuming October 14th has not been confirmed, but that I would put your poker chips down on October 14th.
It wouldn't really be confirmed until Monday anyways.
Right. Yeah, they can always
like,
push it back if
Hey,
something...
patch tomorrow. Good luck, guys.
Yeah, if something horribly breaks,
Yeah.
then they might push it back, but we're assuming October 14th. It won't be any earlier than that. So,
I mean, that's 1 month before BlizzCon, really.
right, and it's a
4 weeks,
1 month to the day on of before WoD launches. So they've got to give us a month. They usually
Right.
do. So we shall
Plus,
see.
with BlizzCon, I assume they aren't getting any work done that week,
No.
so they really only have 3 weeks.
Yep.
So, yeah, if they waited past the 14th, it'd be way too long.
Yeah, it's not going to be good.
Or short, whichever way you want.
So in terms of WoW news, other than that, not much going on in terms of actual news. So let's go into the beta and talk about how to keep your spirits up while the world changes around you. And
The sky is falling! The sky is falling!
Uplift. Don't worry, I'm sure it happens to other monks too.
all right, so tier pieces are finally getting tuned. If you're curious about them, head on over to Wowhead or MMOC to get what they're currently at. These are being constantly changed, so we're still not going to actually go through what they're actually doing yet. Haven't got confirmation whether the mechanics are all even confirmed, though pretty sure they're going to be. They might change. Yeah. So we're going to wait.
There's always a
chance it might change. So I know that if you're interested in Brewmaster ones, go listen to last Monkcraft podcast where LeBlue and Rig just completely pooped on the Brewmaster 4-piece. So
See the picture behind me.
Right.
For what thoughts. There you
Right.
go. There is a succinct version of the entire conversation.
right. So yeah, go check those out. So we're gonna wait until the show right before WoD or after WoD, since we're not gonna be able to touch the tier pieces until at least January now, I think, because they're not in the first raid. So we'll have some time to go over those. All right, Glyph of the Blackout Kick. A lot of Windwalkers were complaining about this because what that does, Blackout Kick will do a heal to you if you hit from the front, and will do a dot from the back. The glyph that was on live made it so you just get the dot, the heal component's gone. That was missing from WoD up until about a couple weeks ago. That's been added back in, functioned the same as live, so you'll still have that. All right. Duke,
I think we can all thank Calligraphy for having the glyph back.
pestering
Because
him. Yeah.
She was daily posting Celestal on. So when's it coming back? I miss it.
Right.
It was nice.
We don't want to be positional. So all right, Duke, you want to go over the PTR batch?
Yeah, so they made some changes to the DPS abilities. If you saw the data mining last week, you saw a bunch of numbers suddenly go down by a slight bit. And basically what they're trying to do is bring two-handed more in line with dual wielding so that you don't have to sit there and do math and go, okay, if it's 3.5 eye levels higher, then I need to do dual-handed or all of that. It's basically, their goal is to get both of them even. And I think, according to SimC, they're like within 800 DPS of each other right now, which is like, what, about 5%?
It's about a 3% difference from what I've been told.
3%, yeah.
yeah.
So they're at a 3% difference between two-handed and dual wield. Dual wield is still a little bit higher, but apparently we can just they can just tweak it a little bit more, get it even closer, and then it's use whatever you want.
Yeah, Hinolever has been working quite a lot in adjusting the Way of the Monk stats and trying to provide Celestalon and the team some good solid numbers on how to bring them even, because I think as it progresses, as we get to tier 17, 18, the weapon enchants is kind of the big difference. The fact that you can get a double proc off of your two one-handers makes dual wield steel more powerful. But as time goes on, that that buff gets less and less important because your stats
Yeah.
kind of overweigh it. So if you can get it within a percent, right now, it will be okay. And you can basically tell people, yes, pick up whatever weapon you can get your hands on. It would be awesome.
And he's in our chat right now saying that it's auto attacks that are the only difference.
Right.
That's
the
it.
big thing for brewmasters too to remember is you get more stats from a two-hander. So for your TMI, which is basically your damage smoothing, a two-hander is technically better.
Right.
The reason that we didn't really care, we always went dual wield, is because damage.
More DPS,
but,
yeah.
But with them becoming closer, having a two-handed weapon as a tank becomes more valuable because that difference is so much smaller nowadays.
I would love for the monk to be able to do two-hander because there are very few classes that can do that. That opens up more opportunity for more people to get gear that uses them. Because if we're taking rogue weapons, we're taking shaman weapons when we could be taking a two-hander. And God, two-hander is just so much easier. You just have to get one drop and one enchant and one gem. You don't have to mess with the other stuff.
Hopefully a gem.
Fists!
Hopefully a gem.
Fists!
The blade fists are pretty cool, yes. Yes.
No, man, I really hope it's really close. Just because I prefer two-handers, anyways. It
Yeah,
works out.
I like the
Like Blue
transmog.
said, anyways. That it's better for the brewmasters to have the two-handers. So I'm happy about that. But sometimes,
there's just nothing more satisfying than whacking someone with a giant stick.
Right.
yeah,
I like that one you get from the Peak of Serenity, the one with the little brew bottle at the end. So I love that for my transmogs.
This one?
Yes, that one right there. Just a little bit bigger on my screen.
All right. Well, there's another end.
And yes, Umberdomo, we are taking druid weapons with the two hands. Dang straight. All right. Resolve for tanks. I'm going to let LeBlue take this one. If he's got show notes up and his mic's unmuted.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, I actually don't have the show notes right in front of me right now, but Resolve for tanks. So basically what they did is there was issues where if you were out in the open world, you felt really, really, really weak. And that the issue is that Resolve was tuned to where it was at a certain point when you're getting hit by a raid boss, so you effectively had a 60% healing debuff from Resolve. And I'm saying this all from memory as I pull up the show notes really quickly. So what they basically did is they made it so that your Resolve or your amount you're healing and whatnot, your numbers were all the same, and you wouldn't start seeing a difference until you're getting hit by like dungeon mobs, like heroic dungeon mobs, which just makes all of your outside in the world stuff better. Thank goodness.
Well, the other change was the diminishing returns.
Yes, which is something they did with Vengeance. So for Vengeance they did, and you still can do it in CMs, but outside of it, tanks would get way too much attack power from tanking multiple mobs, so they gave it diminishing returns per mobs you were tanking, so that your Vengeance wouldn't go crazy out of control, it'd just go sort of out of control. But that didn't work so well for Resolve, because monks didn't scale very well with multiple mobs at all, and so they were like, oh crap, we need to fix this. Let's make it so that monks aren't complete tosh against AoE packs. So now Resolve works as if you are actively targeting and tanking every single target, just like Vengeance used to work like, not like it does now where you get diminishing returns when you're AoE
So the
tanking.
more things hitting you, the more Resolve you're going to get, the more you can heal yourself to put up with the damage that you're getting hit by more.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Anything else we're missing in the beta? There've been a lot of patches coming out, quick succession, but not much changes to the monk. I think we got everything though.
Yeah, other than the keg smash damage being reduced.
I think that
we got a buff.
Wasn't that still that came in with the same patch as the two-hander? Wasn't that just the two-hander tooltip?
That's I'm pretty sure the dual wield.
The dual,
That's
yeah, the
pretty
dual
sure
wield.
the dual wield thing is.
Yeah, to bring that in
A
line.
lot of the number of
Oh, bring
reductions
them
you
in
saw
line.
were
Yeah.
from dual wielding changes.
Yeah, so it wasn't actually a nerf; it was just bringing those numbers closer. Especially since you guys use two-handers, it doesn't matter. So, all right, students, it's time to meditate and expand our knowledge in.
Transcendence.
So today's topic, we brought Super Cat from Ask Mr. Robot in, so we're going to be grilling her for information. So let's get started.
All right.
All right. With the lessened importance of haste breakpoints and the removal of hard caps such as hit and expertise, what's going to be the primary benefit of Ask Mr. Robot?
So yeah, obviously optimization, we'll still have it, but it's going to be not a big focus. I mean, let's be honest, once you figure out what gem you need, you'll have like 3 gems maybe. Like, I don't know how much gear's going to have, but not much. And same with enchants, right? I mean, it's all super simplified, which is actually very, very nice. So the reason we haven't expanded past optimization is the algorithm we use to optimize for Mists of Pandaria. Like, the average person has somewhere between a few trillion and a few quintillion combinations of gems, enchants, and reforges. Whew. And so to optimize people, yeah, in like less than a second and guarantee that we found you the best solution was not trivial. So anytime like anything with the game changes, it's like it's a ton of work to make sure that that algorithm stayed up to date. Well, now you have something like, I don't know what it is, but we're talking like 100,000 combinations. So that algorithm is easy to handle, so now we have time to do everything else. So we're going to be focusing on the data analysis behind combat logs. So, you know, we'll have your combat logs and your basic stuff, but what we really want to do with it is kind of take this data that nobody's used before. Like, it kills me that World of Logs has all of this rich data and has done nothing with it. So what we're going to do is kind of take that and give you context. Like, you know, hey, you know, for your gear level and spec, you're performing at the 80th percentile. Or, hey, there's this boss fight, and it takes, on average, 25 wipes for the first, you know, for groups to kill it the first time. Or, you know, here's how the bar is set. You know, the worst DPS teams have this much DPS at this item level. So if you want to beat it, that's kind of like where the bar is going to be set. And to kind of like help people get past these bosses, and just by putting everything in context with all of the data that we have. So that's going to be our big thing. Even if you never look at a combat log, as long as you upload, or somebody in your group uploads the combat logs, we'll be pulling that data out and putting it like on your like character sheet on our website.
All right, fantastic. LeBlue?
So, what I'm guessing, like you're saying, basically, you're going to combine like what ePeenBot used to do, because like World of Logs is effectively defunct at this point. Nobody really uses it now.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah. So rest in peace, World of Logs. And now we have like Warcraft logs. I guess my big thing is like the average wipes thing. I think sounds kind of cool, because like I'll be trailing a little bit behind like the top 100 U.S. guilds and whatnot. But like, what are there a lot of other things that like you do that Warcraft logs doesn't do? Like you said, the average wipe thing is kind of cool. What else y'all do?
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. So Warcraft logs is doing different things than we are, which is good, because then there's actually a fun use for both websites. So Warcraft logs is actually a really powerful tool if you're comfortable writing like queries and kind of those sorts of things. Like, you can get at like any little minute piece of data by writing some query that you want to get at. And then he's kind of working on like the report end. And then what we're doing is all like data analysis. So we're taking all of that data and, you know, like pulling really cool information out of it that's going to help you. And both of them will still be super powerful for Mythic. You know, like uploading to our site doesn't hurt him, uploading to his site doesn't hurt us, and it's great like to upload to both sites because they're being used in different ways. So it's actually pretty cool. And we chat with them every now and then on Twitter and like, you know, kind of talk about the different things, and it's nice to be able to differentiate. And so each site has a really cool use.
Cool. Yeah. That means I have to relegate one person for Warcraft logs and one person for Ask Mr. Robot. Got it.
Yeah.
I will yell at people to do that.
Yeah, because I mean, he's got some, you know, cool stuff if you're looking for like the really hardcore like querying. And then, you know, he also has the combat replays. That's cool too. So, and then our site's going to be kind of like, you know, all of that data analysis and helping all the different players and pulling that context into view while still being very powerful for like all of the Mythic people, because we have a couple of features that we're testing before we announce them to make sure they work, but we're going to be able to pull that data into pretty much everything we do with like your character. So it'll be really cool as long as people have data uploaded.
Sounds good. I know we use that the advanced logging for those positions. That is a calling out tool when people are silent. So But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I'm really
Yes.
interested to see some of that data for sure, because I would love to know
Yeah,
when
and
we're.
unfortunately, it's like one of those.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah. Unfortunately, it's one of those things where it's like we're testing it right now behind the scenes of Siege of Orgrimmar, but like I want it to happen on like Warlords launch, but you can't because you have to wait for people to like raid and do 5-man.
Right.
you
Yeah.
know?
It's
So
understandable.
it's like one of those features that's like it's gonna be there. It's gonna be there. Just upload stuff in your 5-mans. That'll start it, and then we'll get into the raids. But it's one of those things I'd be like love to put out there for the raids on day one, but we can't. So I have to
Yeah.
practice this thing called
Well,
like
don't
patience.
worry. You won't have our 515 some wipes to kill 10-man hero Garrosh to bog your system down.
Perfect.
So don't worry. You missed that boat. You are good. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Got you.
All right, Duke.
I've been a fan of Ask Mr. Robot since you guys were Death Knights only back in Wrath. And I've very much relied on you guys. And I think over the years I've realized that people seem to make very specific mistakes when they're first using Ask Mr. Robot. Let's help some people here. What are the things that you want to tell people the first time they visit Ask Mr. Robot, what they should be doing? What should they not be doing?
Right. Right. So the current site, after you load your character, look at the stat weight preset window. It's blue. It's under your name. And that's going to help you the most because each stat weight preset has a nice little description and kind of helps you figure out which one should suit you and your playstyle. And if you want to get more advanced, you can edit the stat weights for sure. But that's kind of probably the biggest thing. If people are like, "Oh, Mr. Robot didn't work for me," it made me get a ton of haste. That's fine. Either put a haste cap on or pick a different stat weight preset because Mr. Robot will get you the single best solution given the set of stat weights.
Bad data in, bad data out, right?
Right? Yeah. And can you give me like 30 seconds? I have a developer who's trying to ask me a question really quick.
Sure.
All right. Let's see. So, Dojo, if you got any questions for Zuper, go ahead and get them into the Dojo chat, and we will be happy to get those asked.
You get to literally ask
And I'm
Mr.
back.
Robot.
I got
Yeah.
one right here already. If you want to go with it, or is that for the later?
We'll go with that a little bit later. I already have that added
Okay.
into the
All right,
show
cool.
notes. All right, and let's see. Anything else you wanted to add on mistakes that new people might make, and how to best utilize Ask Mr. Robot?
Right. That's pretty much the really only trouble we see people running into. For the new site, it'll be really nice. You'll load your character, and because we're redoing the UI, it's gonna be like, here's information about your character, and then there's different actions you can take. So it'll be easier. Like some people get a little confused by like Best in Bags, and for those of you that don't know, Best in Bags is cool. It takes all of your data from the game, all of the items you have, and puts it into an optimizer that says, hey, if you have all this like gear lying around, we will find you the single best solution of gear. So it's kind of like best in slot, but for only gear that you own. And right now, like some people get a little confused on how to use that, but that's our fault. That's not the user's fault. We just are working on the UI to make it a little bit more clear. So we're clearing some of it up. Like some of it's on us, and we're clearing that up for Warlords.
Cool.
No,
Just a quick note. I recently experienced this by showing my wife Ask Mr. Robot and letting her take control for the first time. And once she finally understood, okay, do this, because she's trying to learn with the add-on and everything else as well. Once she finally got it, she figured it out, and now she doesn't need me anymore, which makes me sad.
Yeah, it is complicated right now, and so that's one of the things that's like on us that we're trying to change to make it easier for people to understand right out of the gate.
Now, you talked about kind of mistakes and with the stat weights and people not maybe changing them, but how do you guys determine the default weights for the specific specs?
Right. So a couple of things. First, we start by using Simulation Craft. So we have a program that interfaces with SimC, and what it does is it grabs real gear, like it makes a character on a website and grabs real gear, and then we export that into SimC and run a simulation and get the stat weights. Then this program puts the stat weights back into our website and optimizes the character, and then takes the optimizations and exports it back to SimC and keeps doing this loop until we get a stable set of stat weights. and that's how we get the first set. And then we have like theory crafters and stuff kind of help us tweak it from there, because SimC is good, but you have to make sure you set up the right rotations, and there might be like little tricks that we don't know about because we're not intimate with that class. So then we kind of do that final step with all the theory crafters, and either between the theory crafters or SimC, we find like kind of like breakpoints, I guess you could say, like, oh, at item level 550, that's when you actually want to start changing your stat weights. And so that's when we'll start putting in different presets. So on our website, some classes or some specs have like 4 or 5 presets, and other specs have like 1 or 2. And that's kind of how we figure it out.
Okay, so I've always wondered this, like the balance. Do you usually have like balanced PVE listed there? So you say you go off of SimCraft mainly, and then work with Theory Crafter. So I wonder, like, is that when like you're starting out? Is that when you're at higher gear levels, things like that? So how do you make that determination?
Right. So we start it at that's kind of how we do it at different gear levels. So we make real gear, and we kind of keep doing this over different gear levels and find out if there's a spot where the stats should change. Oftentimes the stats really don't need to change until you get to like the top 10% of gear. But what we can figure out is like, so when we do a stable set of stat weights, without getting too technical here, so if you have like agility and crit, on a gem you get twice the amount of crit as agility, right? So in order for an agility gem to beat crit, it would have to be more than twice the stat weight of crit, right? So the agility would have to be 2, and crit would have to be 0.9 in order for agility to be chosen in a gem. So as long as like that crit is anywhere between like 0.9 and like 0.5, you're still always going to choose that agility gem. So you can kind of like start playing with these weights, stabilize, and that's important because then the weights also kind of help pick you your gear and all these things. But we do it for like all the different gear levels. When expansions first come out, we started on the lower levels, and then we kind of start adding presets as people start getting more gear, where they start changing. And some classes it changes quickly, some classes it doesn't.
Okay. So
but yeah, there's actually one. A lot of people think like we only do best in slot stat weights. People are like, oh, everything's based on best in slot. And we're like, nope, it's not even close. So yeah, that's
all right.
Get that out there.
That's really good information. So now for a spec like Mistweaver, I don't know how familiar you are with that spec, but going into Warlords, we're going to have 2 very different gearing methods. One for doing the DPS part of it, the fist weaving, and one for pure on healing, mist weaving. So are your plans for something like that? Would you do a preset for fist weaving, one for mist weaving, and then one for balance, like of the 2?
Yeah, so that's probably what we would start off with. As long as like we're talking to like one of you guys who can help us make sure we know that and understand that. But one of the things we want to do, I don't know if it'll be ready for Warlords launch, we want to be able to like look at your talents and then suggest stat weights based on the talent. So say if Fistweavers always choose talent A, but the Mistweavers always choose talent B, we can use that talent to kind of help choose the default set of stat weights for people.
That's going to be
and then of course
really
they can change it, but we would like to, yeah, that would be cool.
As Mistweavers,
so we hope to be able to pull that off.
Yeah, as Mistweavers know that She Explosion and Path of Mist are 2 completely different play styles and are going to provide 2 different stat weights. So that's really cool. You guys are planning on doing that. We have a question from the chat room.
So what we just need to do is make sure we stay in touch with you guys.
Right. Yes. I don't know very many theory crafters out there for Mistweavers, but I will find them and push them your way because we want to make that awesome.
It's hard to find Mistweaver fans at the moment.
Right. I am one.
We got
one. Yes, you got one.
A lot of the theory crafters may or may not have left.
Right.
Good luck. Geodu. There you go. Geodu.
Geodu. There we go. We'll get him in touch with you.
Finding just monks in general has been our hardest, like to fine tune those. Just because we haven't found a ton of theory crafters and
So this is going to be a good
so
time to put this in here. How do they get in contact with you?
Oh, good question. If you want to do something like that, probably forums.askmrrobot.com is going to be the best because we have a lot of like experts on there that can like all chat and help. You could email feedback@askmrrobot.com. That'll actually go to me, but then I'm going to forward it to our stats guy. I don't do the stats. But yeah, the forums will be the absolute best way to get feedback. But otherwise, you can always hit us up on Twitter, because everyone's lazy gene kicks in, let's be honest. You can hit us up on Twitter, and then I'll follow up.
Okay. All right, so I'm talking to you, Hina Lover, to you, Callie, to you, Geodu. Get doing that now, please. All right.
Yay!
We have some questions from the dojo. Suplift asks, will Ask Mr. Robot be restrictive with experimenting with gear in Warlords of Draenor?
What does he mean by that?
Good question. I'm assuming he means like in right now it's like kind of messing with stat weights, or I think the biggest thing was like the tier pieces. I ran into this problem a lot where theory crafters were basically saying that that 4-piece bonus was complete trash, but Ask Mr. Robot was like, take it. I'm like, oh, no,
take
leave
it,
me alone.
right? Yeah. So yeah, that's another thing where, right, if the theory crafters like tell us and give us like real theory, some people are just like, it sucks. I'm like, right, but if you can tell me why, I can do something about it. I can't go off of it sucks. Yeah, so if those theory crafters talk to us, it'd be great. The way we handle the tier sets, we do it through SimC, and then we say like, we put the tier set on and take the set bonus off, and then we get like, say it's giving you like 3 extra attacks or something. Well, that's not a stat weight, right? So we turn it into the most likely or most related stat weight. So if it's like 3 extra attacks and say you're an agility based character or whatever, we'd give you agility or attack power. And so we would do this conversion to figure it out. So it's all stat weight based. So Mr. Robot could automatically tell you if you should be getting it or not, which is pretty awesome. But if either the estimation is not quite right, which is fair, because people use different abilities and do things differently, so they all trigger different rates, then that estimation's not right. I mean, it's stat weight based, but that means we have to get our estimates perfect. So with Warlords, we do want to try to fix that. We are working on a feature that will let people choose 2 or 4 piece and be able to turn those on and off.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes, to give people more flexibility.
So,
we didn't do it in Mists of Pandaria. Yeah, we didn't do it in Mists of Pandaria because it's kind of like a feature creep, but we really want to do it for Warlords.
Okay. So Suplift did clarify in the dojo. He was indicating for example, the dual amp trinkets, amplified trinkets from Siege of Orgrimmar. That it was really difficult to try to put those in to test the weights. So I was wondering if it's going to open that up more.
Yeah, basically stuff that a healer wouldn't want to use.
To test
normally.
The weights.
Like you have the intellect DPS.
Oh,
trinkets.
I see what you're saying. Like, yeah, we wouldn't even let you select them.
Right.
Right. Like, we wouldn't let you select it. Right. I'd have to ask our developer. I mean, we do it on. Yeah, I'd have to ask our developer. I know we definitely didn't let you do it for things like where you couldn't get it. Like, you couldn't get like the LFR version because it could never drop for you unless you put it in like your off spec or something. Yeah, I'd have to ask and find out, and I'll pass that feedback along to see if we're going to allow more flexibility. Like, we might have maybe like, just thinking out loud here, we could maybe have like an override function. We filter it out because we don't want people like looking at gear they really shouldn't be getting, if you're an average player. But for people who are like, hey, I'm a big experimenter, I know what I'm doing, like, yeah, it'd be kind of cool to put in like an override, be like, nope, let me override you, Mr. Robot, here's what I want to do.
Yeah,
so yeah,
that'd be really
I
cool.
will ask that question and pass along that feedback.
Okay. Joe Brewer in the chat room asks, will this, I think he's talking about the new combat logging, and you're mentioning like rating players. So he's saying, will this rate individuals as raiders, like Jimmy does in the top 10% of healers on this boss? He likes the idea that he can actually link his actual ability, not just an item level.
Yes. So the way it's going to work is we'll look at a lot of different things. We're going to look at your item level, spec, of course. And I think we're looking also at like tier set bonuses and trinkets, because you could have a similar item level, but if somebody has the set bonus, they could be like way above you on healing or DPS. So we're going to try to look at all these factors and then say, well, of all these people on this boss, you are in the 90th percentile, so you are better than 90% of people, and kind of give you that context. And it could be like another boss, and it'll be like, well, you know, maybe like healing is really hard for, say, druids on a some boss, and you're like doing half the healing of your priest, when normally you like blow your priest out of the water. But if compared to all other druids, if druids really are having a hard time with that boss, you still might be in the 90th percentile. So we kind of want to like give you that context.
That's really good information
and figure all
to
that
have.
stuff out.
That's really good information to have, because while you could go into
Right?
something like World of Logs before and start looking and, well, how many of these people, you're not really looking at people who are your peers as far as gear goes. So knowing how well you perform
Right,
in the
exactly.
gear you have is wonderful context to have.
Yep.
Right.
All right, so
Right.
Hina
And then the
Lover.
other thing we're
go
going to
ahead.
do, assuming it works. Oh, go ahead. Okay, I was going to say, sorry, assuming it works, is we're going to take, you know, just like you were saying with the, you know, looking at World of Logs and you're trying to compare yourself, we're trying to build this compare feature so that we can find players like you. So say you're in like the 30th percentile, you just switched to a healed druid, and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, and you're like, oh god, 30th percentile, I, you know, need some help. We'll find players in your exact like category, you know, item level, whatever, and show you their logs. Like maybe we'll pick the top 5 performers that are exactly like you, and then you can kind of scroll through their logs, and we'll do like an automatic comparison, but then you can look at their details so that you can kind of figure out how to improve. Because if you look at somebody that's like 20 item levels higher and has a set bonus, well, they might have different talents because of that set bonus, and they might have a different rotation because they can't run out of mana and things like that, and that's not helpful. So yeah, we want to try to be able to like automatically compare you to help you get better.
So I just paid for my premium membership, but take my money. No, like right here, take my money. Just take it.
Hey, thank you.
Okay, so Hina Lover, who's a very good theory crafter, big theory crafter in the Windwalker community. He's asking, have you already started running sims for stat weights yet?
No, we actually wait until the very last minute, just because so much changes.
Right.
You know, between now and then, we like 3 days, literally 3 days before the expansion comes out is when we'll do it, and then we'll run it again. You know, once people start getting into dungeons and things start changing, or bugs get worked out of SimC and things like that.
Right.
But that's the start, and you know, it's pretty fluid. I feel without so many like reforges and stuff, it would be as bad, but like I always feel bad because all these people are optimizing. I'm like, it's pretty fluid for the first few weeks, and then, you know, people come back to the site and we change the stat weights, so then naturally all of their gems and chants and reforges changed, and they're like, what are you doing to me? I'm like, sorry. We have to get it accurate. So I feel like
At least this time, gems will be
have-
really, really rare.
Right.
right. I know.
I might have 1 or 2 to switch around.
Right. So I think now it's going to be like really focus on like what kind of gear upgrades you're going to want, and how to like improve your skill and things like that is what we're going to focus on for the site.
All right, team. You got any last-minute questions for the robot?
Well, I think a good question for maybe people who haven't done combat logs and stuff is where can they find like how to do combat logs for you? You know, some people probably aren't as experienced, you know.
That's a good question. So right now, you can do it on our site. It's an open alpha, so anyone can do it. And if you go to, it's open alpha, but you go to beta.askmrrobot.com. And you know, the sad thing about that is to like get all the SSL and all these things working on a new subdomain, you have to go through like so much crap. Like if we had alpha, I'm like, seriously, you can't just, fine, it's going on the beta. Anyway. There'll be a green button there that says like upload a log. Click it and it'll bring you to like get you the add-on and everything like that. So anyway, so we get the add-on, it's in game, or if you already have our add-on, it's the exact same add-on. And there's a combat log, like a little tab in the add-on. As long as you click like the start log or whatever it is, I don't have it in front of me, but whatever the button is, we give you to push, it'll automatically turn on advanced combat logging and all the stuff that you need to turn on.
That's fantastic.
There's even a little checkbox that's, yeah, right? 'Cause like I cannot figure it. It's like under like the systems menu. It's not where you would think it is. So we automatically do it. Then we also have an option that says like automatically start logs every time I zone into raid X, Y, and Z.
Oh,
so
that's
then you
cool.
can never forget.
That's nice. I know
That's
I've forgotten
Right?
to do
And
that
then I
many
think
times.
we have a way to automatically. Right, me too. I'm like the biggest offender. I'm so used to it now. I went on the beta and like did a little 5-man dungeon to like get a log for us. And I'm like, oh yay, we're done. I'm like, oh crap. I don't have the add-on.
Does it already have
doing
WAD gear
automatic
ready to
logging.
test out in there?
Not in the add-on and not on the. So right now we're not doing the Warlords beta combat logging. We're only doing it for the live servers.
Oh, gotcha.
Just because so much has been changing. Yeah, so much has been changing that we're just focusing on building the features instead of like having to keep up with the changes. One developer, we have to like focus.
So Joe Brewer's
Yes,
asking,
so
does
it's-
everyone in the raid need to run the add-on to get the best log, or could just the raid leader do it?
Very, very good question. Technically, just the raid leader. However, what we want is for everyone to have the add-on because that's the way we're capturing your gear. So, well, and there's a few other things, but when we capture your gear, we do it at the start of each fight. So say you switch specs or get a piece of gear or whatever, switch something around, grabbing it for each specific fight attempt. So that we have 100% accurate data every time you upload the combat logs. We'll know, oh hey, you actually had a different item on, and you can even compare the two different logs on how items may have changed it, or if you change spec or change talents. So we'll get all that data. Now, that being said, if you have the add-on and you're not the one logging, all you need to do is have the add-on. You don't have to touch it. You don't have to do anything with it other than have it enabled when you log in. And then the person who's logging, their add-on will just kind of, it like talks to the other add-ons and it grabs all that data. So you don't have to do anything other than just have the add-on running. And if we're lucky, we can get a couple like developers of other super popular add-ons to include our little code snippet, so that you might not even have to have our add-on. Like maybe you could have like Trade Skill Master, and it'll let us talk to them.
Oh, that'd be cool. Talking with
Yeah.
other add-on developers, that'd be pretty neat. All right, last minute questions, guys.
General Zod is asking about how much processing power does the capture use? Is it minimal, or will it be a noticeable pause on pull?
Oh, it should be incredibly minimal. All we're doing is like grabbing. So we're reading the combat log when it's happening, which is like what all these other add-ons do. And then when we're talking to our own add-on, it's literally like a text chat, like a chat window, but it's like behind the scenes and it's like private, and so it's like reading like 10 lines of text. So yeah, there will not be any lag. And if there is, report it because it shouldn't have
Okay.
any lag. Yeah. That would be a bug if that happens.
Yeah, Joe Brewer says add it to DBM, problem solved.
Right, yeah,
Yep.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah, I would love to add it to DBM. Yes, and exactly that's 100% problem solved because everyone has it. So I just have to bribe him with cupcakes or something. And get him to
Right.
put the code in.
Yeah, we've
So now
been
he's
using
listening to this.
Right.
He's gonna wait now until I give him cupcakes.
You know what we need to do? We need to like get a petition going to DBM.
Yeah, like you do for like the government, except it's a petition for DBM.
Let's just put it on the government site.
Happily, we
Apparently
only
a lot
need
of people do
100
it.
signatures.
Right.
I'll stand outside like Walmart or whatever people do and get the signatures we need.
You believe DBM should have the Ask Mr. Robot? What? I'm just here for coffee.
People
Someone
sign
say
it. People
coffee.
sign
What
it.
are
Be
you-
like, oh
what are you
yeah.
talking-
Coffee, please. Give me.
All right, guys.
We've been using the combat logger for our raid team for Rolling Thunder, and it's
Have you?
fu-
I want to hear about it.
I absolutely enjoy the death screen that says, okay, here's how they died, here's when they died, here was the last thing that hit them. We just had a situation on Friday where we had 4 people get stomped on by Thok all of a sudden. And we had to dig through the logs to figure out, why did that happen? Why did Thok suddenly turn and just stomp on 4 people? And it turned out it was because one of our hunters used
Distracting shot.
no, not
course it was
distracting
the
shot.
hunter.
He feigned death.
Oh.
caused him to
when he was
retarget.
chasing him. When he was chasing him.
He was
so
chasing
Thok
him.
does funny
He feigned
things.
death. He targets somebody else, stomps 4 people, and we're like, what just happened?
No.
Oh, man.
That is,
Those hunters.
yeah,
No.
one of my favorite things on that death panel that we did that's new is it's like the healing last time since heal. And so we're trying to show you, like, did you die from like a hit all at once, or did you die from just not being healed over the last 10 seconds? And kind of trying to like healing and deaths are a couple of the places where we're trying to like really provide extra information that hasn't really been out there yet. But like, yeah, it's like time to death, 0.2 seconds. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
The
from
hardest
90%
part-
to death.
the
Of course,
part
no
of it-
one's gonna get healed.
The hardest part of using the logs, though, is getting everyone to have that add-on installed, because we got a couple of people who just, no, my computer can't take any add-ons, and there's no
Yeah.
gear data, and I can't look at
Right,
that
right.
information.
I've got
Right,
one
if you did, it'll
paladin
still
who
be there.
doesn't even use
Just
DBM.
just
Drives me nuts.
But no, I really like the presentation.
Yeah.
And there's a definite
Cool.
difference between you guys and Warcraft logs. I actually upload to both because it's wonderful being able to look at the
See, exactly,
big,
and
bright
that's what we expect.
information on one and then really go dig on the other.
Right.
And it's just,
Right, and that's
I
what-
see no reason not
like,
to
we'll
use
cite
both.
something different.
Yep.
Right. I mean, it's not hard. Sorry, Lion. It's not hard to have them like to upload to both, right? And it's and then it's nice because like we can focus on some features and he can focus on others because it's a lot. There's a lot of programming to be done, and he's one guy, and we're three guys, but one's a developer. We just luck out that we have a team of a designer and myself. So, in addition to our coder, but yeah, so that really helps since both teams are really small. That we can focus on different features and give everybody everything they want instead of just some of what they want.
Absolutely.
All right, well, guys, I think it's time to put the brew away. So, guys, please rate us on iTunes, Stitcher, subscribe on YouTube or on Twitch.tv. I want to go ahead and give everyone a chance to sign off, shout out, and pimp whatever projects they got. Guanshu, what's up?
Hey, I want to give a shout out to Kaylee from Hotscast because we do have our new podcast going on Saturday nights, 10 o'clock. I believe it's twitch.tv/charredhearts is the live stream, and the show is called Charred Hearts. So, come listen to me talk about stuff that I pretty much don't know anything about.
All right, Duke.
Just a shout out to the Team Cells clan on PS4 for Destiny. We got our hard mode Atheon kill on Saturday night, and boy, that was a lot of fun.
That's
Well
not
done.
WoW. What are you talking
No.
about?
It didn't say it had to be WoW.
All right, LeBlue, who had a Diablo 3 Demon Hunter destroyed earlier. How are you doing? What do you want to talk about?
I want to give a huge shout out to Golvin and Rignoros, Golvin with the Monkcraft podcast, Rignoros Blood Legion, for letting me in on their discussion of Brewmasters this past Friday when we recorded it. Had a great time, and no, because I posted about Loblu, my Demon Hunter dying does not mean I'm giving up on the Monk class, as
Right.
some people apparently thought.
That's what I
Sorry.
thought originally. I was like, what?
Yeah, nope, that wasn't me abandoning ship. Sorry.
Okay, all right.
Sorry for the confusion, everyone. Go back to loving monks, unless you're Mistweavers.
All right, and Zupercat, what you got?
Well, anyone who's going to BlizzCon on Thursday night, you should go to the World of Podcast Party, which
Yes.
we're partnering with. And yeah, and besides having amazing people on it, I think some of you might even be on it, right?
Yep.
We have an art exhibit that I have spent a lot of time curating. We have over 100 artists and over 200 pieces of art, and they will all be given away at the end of the night. So you might be able
Wow.
to win a really cool piece of art.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, they're really good. These artists are amazing.
All right, as part of the Monk community, if you have a blog, website, or person you want to see in the show, reach out to us at show@monkmeditation.com. Monk community is the best one in the world of Warcraft. We want to showcase it. Duke, how can the dojo best reach us?
Well, you can find the show at monk_meditation. You can follow Chai T at WowMonk. Air, who is traveling around the world at a pace that cannot be stopped, is at Airwalker. I am at Daikatsu CTR. Guanshu is at Geek of Random, and LeBlue is Kagarai_LeBlue. And find our special guest at Ask Mr. Robot.
All right, thank you all for listening. You can watch us live Monday, October 20th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific midnight UTC at twitch.tv/wowmonk. You can also visit monkmeditation.com for links for all the ways to watch and listen to the show. Monk Meditation is part of Catalyst Gaming Media for other great gaming blogs, podcasts, and events. Visit catalystgamingmedia.com, including World of Podcasts. That wraps up this episode of Monk Meditation.
May your bruise be strong and your heart stronger.